Right now, today, and in the next couple of days, seniors across the country are opening their college decisions. Some of them are getting into their dream schools, but most of them aren't. And here's the thing nobody is saying out loud. The students getting rejected today, they lost this game in junior year. Not senior year, but junior year. You are still a junior. You still have 8 months. This video is going to show you exactly what to do with. And I'm going to show you something at the end of this video, a real student, average stats, no fancy background, who did exactly what I'm about to tell you and got into Cornell. So stay with me. So here's what most juniors are doing right now in March. Exactly nothing. And I get it. Junior year is brutal. You've got APs, you've got tests, you've got grades to protect. The application feels far away. November is still 8 months from now. That's fine, right? No. And here's why. Every single activity that you put on your Common App needs to have enough time behind it to feel real. Admissions officers can tell the difference between something you've done for 3 years and something you just started in August to put on an application. They read thousands of these, so they know, which means the window where your activities can actually change the outcome of your application is not 8 months from now. It's just this window. Coming here, like in the next 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 months, you'll be too late to make your activities feel real. And almost no one is telling you that. And in a minute, I'm going to show you the one thing you should be doing this summer, and it's probably not what your school counselor told you. But first, let me show you the problem I see over and over again, because I've gone through 500 plus applications, and there is one thing that kills more strong applications than anything else. And here's the problem: the gap. This is the gap. The gap between who you actually are, what you care about, what pulls you back, and what you do even if there was no college application, and what your application says about you, right? Because most students build their application the wrong way. They look at what top schools want and then reverse engineer activities to match. Debate because it shows leadership, hospital volunteering because it shows compassion, science fair because it shows academic rigor, and the result is an application that looks like this: generic, assembled with no soul, right? And I'm not saying those activities are bad. I'm saying when there's no story connecting them, no reason why this specific human being did all of these things, admissions officers feel it and then they move on. The students getting into top schools right now didn't have more activities. They just had a clearer story. And that story, that through line that connects everything you've done, is called a narrative. And this is what gets you in. And you have 8 months to build yours, right? Most students spend senior year writing about who they are. The students who get in spend junior year becoming who they are. So you need to write this down because this is the main issue with a lot of students right now who I'm talking to. Okay, so everyone says you need a narrative. Every consultant, every YouTube video, every Reddit thread. But nobody explains what it actually means in practice. So let me show you. This is the practical explanation of what a narrative basically is. Your narrative is just one sentence, which is not a fancy sentence, just one clear sentence that explains why everything you've done makes sense together. Not what you do, but who you are. And here's the difference. Most students describe themselves. The best applicants define themselves. So I'm going to show you the difference between them. So describing would be something like this: I like medicine, theater, and research, right? But defining would be, I use art to explain complex ideas. Feel the difference? One is just a list. The other is an identity, right? And when an admissions officer reads a defining sentence like that, they don't think impressive. They think, of course. Of course, this person is applying here, and everything clicks on their application. That feeling of course, is what you're building toward. This is what we want to build toward, nothing else, all right? Now, this might be too abstract for you. So let me show you what this looks like with a real student. This is one of our first clients, Princeton and Oxford admit. And when he came to us, his application had a real problem. On one side, he had serious theater with awards, performances, and years of it. And on the other side, he was very deep into research into Venezuelan elections and South American economics. And there was no connection between them. No bridge. And without a bridge, admissions officers make one of two assumptions. Either he's an actor doing politics to seem well-rounded, or he's a researcher doing theater as a checkbox. And neither version is really compelling. This kid had a 1570 SAT, near perfect grades, and his application was still going to get rejected because impressive doesn't get you in, inevitable does. So here's what we built. We helped him create a theater program that educated audiences about the Venezuelan crisis. His theatrical talent became the medium, his political research became the message, and then we connected his Nigerian roots to interfaith dialogue advocacy through his Bible study group, right? And suddenly, every single thing on his application pointed back to one singular idea. That was bridge builder, right? Someone who finds walls between worlds and tears them down. And the result was that he got into Princeton and Oxford both. And here's the part of the story that I think is the most useful for you right now. The activities, they didn't change. What changed was the frame. And that is what we help with. The story connecting them. And that's what you're going to build in the next 8 months. Stay with me because this next part is the most practical thing in the whole video. And in the next 4 minutes, I'm going to show you the exact 3-question exercise that finds your narrative. So you have 3 questions. You need to answer all 3 of these, right? The number 1 question is, what pulls you back even when nobody's watching? What do you keep coming back to even when nobody's watching? Not what you're good at, not what your parents want you to do. What pulls you back even when it's inconvenient? What pulls you back? Because here's the thing. Admissions officers can smell performance. They read thousands of essays a year. They know the difference between someone who did something because they cared and someone who did it to look good. The student who built an AI model to detect Alzheimer's disease, she wasn't thinking about her application when she started. She was thinking about the problem. And that's exactly what made her application to MIT feel inevitable. Question number 2 is, what problem genuinely makes you angry? Not vaguely, but specifically. The thing where when you see it, you can't not say something. One of the students I interviewed, she grew up watching her school send almost nobody to elite colleges. And that made her angry. So she set up her own dual enrollment program with the university, started a science platform with 75 writers, and built a wind turbine in her garage that's now becoming a real company. That's not ambition. That's anger. Just productively directed. That's what you want. Question number 3 is, what do people come to you for? All right. If your friends, your classmates, your family keep asking you for help with the same type of thing, that's signal. You're already known for something, so just use it. All right. Your narrative is then in the overlap of those 3 answers. Write it down in one sentence. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be true and it has to be you. All right. And here's the test. Read your sentence out loud. Then look at your current activity list and ask, does everything on here connect back to this, right? If yes, that's great. Your job for the next 8 months is then to just go deeper. If no, and for most students, the answer is no, you have 2 options, all right? Either reframe the activities that you already have, find the thread that was always there but never articulated, or add one new thing this summer that becomes the bridge. That's what we did for the Princeton kid, by the way. And that's what I want to talk about next as well. So the main thing you need to get from this part of the video is that you don't need more activities. You just need a better story. Okay, so I said earlier, I tell you one thing you should be doing this summer, and here it is. You need to build something. Not join something, not attend something, but build something. Here's why this matters. At the Ivy League level, almost every applicant has joined things, right? Clubs, teams, programs, internships, everything. And that's the baseline. What separates the top applications is the students who build something that didn't exist before. And I'm not saying you need to start a new company. I'm saying you need to create something. A project, some research, a program, or a community that is uniquely yours, that could not have come from any other student. Let me show you what this looks like across different interests. These are real case studies on my YouTube channel, by the way. 3 completely different students, 3 completely different projects, but the same move. They built something that only they could have built, right? And the project became the centerpiece of their entire application. Now, here's the question I know you're asking. What if I don't know what to build? What if I don't have a big idea? So here's what I want you to do right now. Start with your immediate world, your school, your neighborhood, your family, or your community. What's broken that you keep walking past? Keep walking past. And there's probably a billion things broken in your community. One of the students I worked with, the Colonel admit, he noticed that kids in his neighborhood had no access to financial literacy resources. His parents were immigrants. He'd watched them make avoidable financial mistakes for years because nobody had given them the framework. So he started a financial literacy workshop for immigrant families. Started small, grew it, and then did a research paper on informal lending networks in developing countries. Then he interned at a fintech startup. So he had one observation that led to a project, a lot of impact, and then that helped him build a narrative based on the 3 activities that he was able to do from the main problem he found in his community. So that's all it takes. So you need to find the observation and build toward it. And here's what I want you to do this week before you do anything else. You need to write this question down and answer it honestly. That's probably the seed of your summer project if you don't have anything else yet. Now, let's talk about the activity section, because once you have your narrative, you need to know how to write it up, right? Most students treat the activity section like a resume. Here's what I did, here's how long I did it, and here's my title. That's the wrong job. You only have 150 characters, right? That's less than a tweet. And in those 150 characters, you're not describing what you did. You're making the admissions officer feel the impact of what you did. So here's the before and after of an activity description. We have the same activity, but we give completely different signal through one or the other. The first one tells me you showed up. The second one tells me that you led, you innovated, and you created a result that had never existed before. Every activity description needs three things: the action verb that shows initiative, specific result, a number, a scale, or an outcome, and context for why it matters. Now, I'm going to talk about how to order your activities, because this one surprises a lot of people. Your most impressive sounding activity does not go first. Your most thematically central activity goes first, the one that most directly expresses your narrative, because that first activity primes the admissions officers to read everything else through the right lens. And that's what we want to do, right? We want to show them that we have a solid narrative and we have a plan for what we're trying to do inside the university as well. If your narrative is about building bridges between communities, your bridge building activity goes first, even if a different activity has more awards attached to it. Moving on, let's talk about the essay mistake that kills most applications. And I'm going to start with the single most common mistake I see in first drafts every single time. Students tell instead of show. You just saw it on screen, right? Left side is a student who just stating that he learned compassion. But right side, which I'm going to explain it in a little bit as well, you're going to know that this student is able to really show that how he learned the importance of compassion and developed strong communication skills. I promise you, every single applicant writes some version of that sentence, word for word. So showing looks like this. There was a 9-year-old in room 4B who hadn't spoken in 3 days after his surgery. On week 4, he asked me if robots would ever feel pain. I said I didn't know. He said good, because then at least they'd understand me. I went home and started building a voice interface for nonverbal patients that night. Now let's move on to the structure of every great personal statement. So you need to start so specific the reader can smell the room. Then you need to zoom out until they understand something about you that no other part of your application could have shown them, right? And the test for this is, does the reader lean forward or lean back? If they lean back, it's usually telling, right? And if they lean forward, it's usually showing. It should make them very interested in what you're writing. Every paragraph should make them lean forward. Now, here's the counterintuitive thing about essays that I want you to hear, because it goes against everything you'll be told. One of the students I interviewed, she spent 7 months on her MIT essay, 7 months, heavily edited, multiple rounds of feedback, but got rejected. She spent 2 weeks on her Harvard essays, had less editing, more authentic voice, but got into Harvard. There's a point where editing starts removing the thing that makes the essay yours, the rhythms of how you think, the way you phrase something, your voice. The question to ask yourself is not, is this impressive? It is, could any other student have written this, right? So you need to be unique about it. If yes, then you need to keep writing. Now let me show you the essay I think is one of the best I've ever come across, because it breaks every rule people tell you to follow. Michael got into Yale, 1430 SAT, largest public high school in Oregon, limited AP offerings, under the first percentile of height due to a genetic condition that required multiple surgeries. And his essay was about weightlifting. The line that I think got him in was, turn word percentile of height into 1 percentile of lifting. 9 words. That's not just a good line. That's a person telling you exactly who they are. The whole application in just one sentence. And that's the goal. That's your goal as well. One sentence somewhere in your essay that makes the admission officer put the paper down for a second. You have 8 months to write that sentence. And right now, in March of junior year, is exactly when you should start thinking about what yours is going to be. Okay, let me give you the exact plan month by month now. So March is right now, all right? In this month, I need you to answer the 3 narrative questions I mentioned above, write your theme in 1 sentence, and identify the gap in your current activity list. April to May, I want you to lock in your summer project, start reaching out to professors, organizations, or mentors, and begin SAT prep if you haven't already, all right? SAT and mentors, basically, and project. June to July, I need you to execute your summer project. This is the centerpiece of your application, so treat it like a job and start drafting your personal statement. Make it raw, no editing yet. August should be when the Common App opens, so fill in everything except the essays, and first full essay draft should be done by the end of August. All right, and you should also be getting started on your school list by this time. September to October, I need you to finalize your activity descriptions, get teacher recommendation questions, and start working on your essay and start revising it as well. November 1 to the EA deadline, if applying EA/ED, everything should be submitted. If not, you need to use this month to refine RD application. And then when January hits, you need to submit your RDs and then you're done. The most important insight on this calendar, and I want you to really hear this, is that the summer is where applications are won or lost. So it's this time. Not November, not January, the summer. Because whatever you build between June and August becomes the centerpiece of every single thing. Thank you for watching so far. So here's what I want you to walk away with from this video. Your stats, they get you considered. But your narrative is what gets you in. The narrative is not something you make up. It's already there in what you keep coming back to, in what makes you angry, in what people come to you for, right? You just have to find it and then spend the next 8 months building toward it. The students getting rejected today didn't lose because they weren't smart enough. They lost because nobody helped them find their story in time. You still have time, right? So here's what I want you to do right now. Drop a comment with your top 2 activities, just 2. And I'll tell you what narrative I see. I read every single comment and I do this for free. And if you want to build the whole thing out properly, the narrative, the activity framing, the essays, the school list, with our team one-on-one, link is in the description, right? We have a 100% success rate. We have Princeton, Oxford, Cornell, Stanford this last cycle. All the case studies are public. You can verify everything. And we have 8 months, so let's build your story. Catch you in the next one. By the way, if you also want to just send me a message, follow my LinkedIn and I'll make sure to reply to you. Bye.